all being together to share our thoughts and questions. It's great to see people starting to feel comfortable enough to finally speak out. I think it's empowering to know as a person that you have a voice and that your voices can matter. With that being said, we all have our voices, but we will not tolerate any yelling, any disrespect, anything of that nature. We are all here, we are all a community, and we are all neighbors, first and foremost. And we should treat each other with respect and dignity, and that's it. If it starts, I'm leaving. I don't know about these two, but I'm leaving. You guys can conduct your circus the way it is, but the meeting will be over, okay? So, with that being said, like Bob was saying, if you are interested in being on the blog, see him, or put your email address right here. I also, because it seems like a lot of people don't know where to find the bylaws, where to find the covenants, where to get the meeting minutes, other than coming up to the pool, whatever. There is a portal that you should be using. It's very user-friendly. I've got all the information here on how to get to it. It has governing documents, covenants, bylaws, rules and regulations, every monthly financial report, the meeting minutes, everything that you should be able to see should be on there. So please, it is up to First Service to put it on there. Right, it is First Service's portal, but all the information so you can find it is here. You can pay your dues on there. Everything else is on that portal. Yeah, your work requests.
On your unit, don't call the 1-800 number.
They don't know our
Fill out your
neighborhood.
claim that you need something done to your unit. That will go right to this First Services on Frontage Road down there, because this is a national outfit. And too many times people have been using the 1-800 number and say, they said they can't help me. That's because it was done improperly. You have to put in the work request.
So if you need that information, it's up here for you to grab later. First things first, guys. We know the election did not reach a quorum, kind of, but we do now have a quorum, so we're waiting on a meeting date. All ballots from the previous election are still valid. If you want to change your vote, however, you will have to be present at the meeting to do so. Okay? So first and foremost, that's the most important thing. The board, we're here to bring all of our concerns and get information and get it to the board and what we want from the board, but it doesn't do us any good if we don't have one.
And just to add to that, there's 4 members on our board right now. They are reconvening on Monday to make a decision, a reorganization meeting to appoint the officers in the current board, and then from there, they will also put out when we're going to have the election, which they hope to do.
Isn't it in the bylaws that we have to do this quickly?
Yes.
Yes, and they're.
Yes.
I mean, so we're doing it wrong if we're waiting till July.
And we're not. It was going to be put off, and we're pushing for it to happen sooner than that, so it should happen within the next, I think maximum.
I think there's something you posted said that it has to be, we have to notice of at least 21 days on the section, so good stuff.
Yes, there is a section in there. It's 21 days, 10 days for another meeting, so we would only need a 10-day notice for the next meeting. Right, the annual meeting's already been scheduled, so another meeting would be 10 days. I'm sorry?
This is a continuation of
Correct.
the annual meeting.
Correct.
So it should be 21 days.
It's another meeting the way it's worded says another meeting 10 days. And that, again, the board is going to meet and they're going to do and take care of that, and hopefully they will follow the bylaws and the state homeowners association. You had some questions brought to you about the election.
My proposal was, instead of 300 people sending 300 emails to the First Residential or the board, we rather just make one list with all of our questions. The questions will be anonymous, and I'm going to send them, or one of us will send it to the board and the First Residential. Now, I've been contacted already by maybe around 20 people in the community, And to be honest, they're kind of the same question repeating because everybody wants to know about the next election. Everybody wants to know if we had an audit. Everybody wants to know why the office supplies, double for next year. So far, I think I have around 25 questions. I don't know, I can read them all out.
Let me see.
And if you have any other question on top of this, contact me. I can give you my mobile number, my email. I'm going to compile a list, put the whole list on the blog right before we're ready to submit it for everyone, information and approval, and we send it because I think it'll be good for us and it'll be good for the board to be able to see these questions in advance and prepare a proper, reply before the meeting. We don't want the next meeting to be a chaos. We want the next meeting to be organized, polite, nice, like, a meeting should be. That's why I think it's wise on our behalf to submit these questions in advance. They will have a chance to look and everybody will appreciate an order and a structure.
I know your name, but not everybody knows.
Okay, my name is Lydia Kesselman, and I'm one of the candidates for the next board, and I live right across the street here. Thank you.
I do see some of her questions here, and we're
What's
going to
your
try to stay on a topic by topic kind of agenda. And that first one was the election. And since there were some questions on here, and then if your guys' questions pertain to election, we'll get to them now, or we'll wait to get to the other sections.
When do you plan to bring it in?
Huh?
When are these going to the board? What's your thought?
As soon as we can compile
Okay.
them all.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
And we don't have a board yet anyway, so.
I just want to know, because I think that y'all did a great job in bringing people together for this. I just want to know, what is the expectation for, so we have this list of questions. So we bring it to them. Are we going to get an answer to all of our questions?
Well,
is that
we-
going to happen at the meeting?
We
Like,
cannot
what's the-
answer that question. We can't answer that
So we're
question.
just
Everybody,
what's the
so
question?
here's where it all kind of comes together, guys. We're seeing the blog. There are questions going out everywhere. To be honest, if I were on the board, I'd be like, whoa, can't do this. I mean, really, any normal human would be totally overwhelmed, bombarded, and feel hopeless because you're just getting it from all angles. This way, we can all, you guys might have questions that that can be answered here because everybody talks, everybody hears different things. Or if we can't answer them here, we're going to propose that the board answer them, and they're all at least organized for them to systematically go down the list to answer the question. We can't tell you that they're going to answer them. We don't know.
And keep in mind, on the blog, currently, we have 2 board members sitting on our blog. A board member is not gonna make policy on the blog. They can't do that, and they shouldn't do that, and they won't. But you can ask questions, and sometimes they will chip in with an answer, sometimes they won't. And it's just another vehicle. In other words, this meeting we're having right here, in the past, we used to do this several times a year. But we're not getting the communication, and it's a shame that we've got to do this instead of the board doing it. But this is what we're doing, and we're gonna present this just like more communication. We'll present that to them, and hopefully it will help them know what our concerns are, so they can do a better job in serving us. That's how I feel about it.
Question. Because some of us kind of messed up with the last vote, and we didn't know that you had to have yeah. And so many of the people that I know that would contact me about it, they're out of town. Now, what if they want to change their vote now? They're out of town.
That
We might ask that
probably.
question as well. We might put a
We
question.
can ask that, but I'm thinking, dependent on the timeline, there won't be new mail outs other than.
Right,
a
yeah, I
notice of the
understand
meeting.
that, but if they want to
Yeah.
change their vote, can they contact the proxy person? Or they can't do that?
Sure, I would think if they assigned a proxy, yes. That actually was one of the questions Lydia got about the proxy, so let me touch on that real quick. It says, once we mail the ballot, we still have to be present. Not even presidential election requires that. People were extremely confused regarding the proxies. I would suggest simplified vocabulary and direction. Let me say this. If you turned in a ballot or are going to be present at the meeting, you do not have to assign a proxy, period, end of story. Okay? Because if you do, you assign a proxy and you turn in your ballot, guess what? That proxy could legitimately go and change your vote.
Okay, there you go.
So you do not assign a proxy if you've turned in your ballot or you are going to be present at the meeting. So that's,
Simple, that is simple.
that is simple.
But if some
And it's
It was
simple as-
mishandled.
yeah,
Simple as
okay,
that
I
was.
understand that.
The years I've been here, those were the absolute, the nominating committee, I thought did an excellent job. Those were the best instructions I ever saw. There was no room left for confusion. The confusion came when I went down to get my proxy back to change my vote. And the manager down there told me, oh, it's a good thing you came down. You didn't sign a proxy. I said, it says right here, I don't need to. Oh, that doesn't make any difference. The lawyer decided you have to, and the board wants you to. Well, don't you think you should have told something's wrong? And it was just mass confusion.
Yeah.
But it was a great job, and that's the best instructions I've ever seen since I've been here.
Isn't that in the covenant though? I mean, isn't that our rules? So we gotta follow the rules,
Right,
right?
Yeah.
So if you can't change it without being there, you can't change it.
right.
It's the rules.
Well, no, I'm saying, you're talking about changing your vote.
Yes.
That's
We were
different.
Well, yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
We were penalized for following the instructions.
Right.
We were penalized for following the correct instructions. And they couldn't see that.
Well, the only way we can change the instructions is have a vote and change the
The
instructions,
instructions were
right?
absolutely perfect. No.
The instructions followed the bylaws, the covenants, the state law, all
Right, the only
that.
way we can change the bylaws and that stuff is all get together and
Yes,
the
you have
vote
to have a
change it.
two
So we
thirds
still
quorum.
have to follow what's in there.
The
Right.
thing is that the instructions were correct.
The-
So when
yeah, the
gentleman
instructions were
wanted to
correct.
change it, he was told he cannot do it anymore.
Yeah.
It was perfect. That's the way it should be.
The other question that was about the election was about microphones at the meeting, and we will try to, I will get there, hold on, I'm getting there, microphones, to have microphones at the meeting. Apparently I wasn't in the room, but there weren't microphones. We'll make sure we note that on that list for them for the new upcoming meeting. Yes, ma'am. What do you mean penalty?
Well, you just said that you were penalized.
Well, you guys, all of us as a community were penalized because we didn't have an election. Those elections cost us $2,000 to $2,500 each. So by calling that meeting without holding the election, it costs us additional money. So we are all penalized by that.
Having the election.
What's that?
Why was the meeting called without having the
Well, they claimed that we did not have a quorum, and they adjourned the meeting without allowing time to go get additional proxies or
So
people
what
to
gave
be
them
present.
the right to not communicate?
Because they communicated the meeting. In other words, we need
Yes.
51%. And let's assume they have 48% of the proxies turned in. And we need 3% more. Well, somebody that's attending the meeting is not turning in their proxy. They're gonna go to the meeting and sign it. They would be added. And as a result, there wasn't enough to add to make it 51%.
We were
You don't
five-
know it.
we-
You don't know it until the meeting.
We were 5 people short. Past meetings, I don't know how long, I know a lot of you are long-termers, but we have put off the start of the meeting to go get 5 additional people or 10 additional people, and we get them and we bring them so we don't have to have another meeting. And that was not allowed that night, unfortunately.
By who?
The board.
And they're the ones that make the rule, and
They're the ones
make
that
the
call the
penalty.
meeting to,
So they make the penalty, they penalize, and they make the rule.
When Stephanie says penalized, what she's saying is, in other words, like my proxy, because I didn't put the first assignment to it, they say your vote doesn't count.
Right.
That's what you mean. I
Your
was
vote
penalized
doesn't
because
count.
I followed the instructions.
and the election didn't happen, it costs us more money, therefore that penalizes us. It's a detriment to us. Mike?
As chairman of that nominating committee, I did bring a lot of these concerns to First Service. I did meet with them, and I can assure you that after Monday, once they reorganize, a lot of those questions will be answered. One of the things that I was concerned about too, was the young lady down there said, about the proxy and everything else. And I asked them to review it. And if there was a mistake made on their part, correct it. I don't care who's to blame, but just correct it. So I hope, from what I was told, that will happen after they had this reorganization.
Anybody else have any questions about the election? Yeah.
How many board members do we have?
Currently, I think we have three.
Three. No, three.
Four.
Dennis, Gail, and Dean.
Who's, so if you voted for somebody who's no longer on the board,
Where are they?
if I voted for somebody in another board meeting, I got mine again. If I voted for somebody that's not on the board anymore.
Hold on. We've got two different conversations going on.
I don't know how many people on the board.
As far as I know, there's three, and we're supposed to have six.
We have six. So there's three, and the same three positions
Oh, wow.
still available.
There will actually be four positions.
Started the meeting.
No, I'm
He's
sorry.
gonna
There's
speak.
still three positions available. Yes.
The president's right there, why don't you speak?
Is everybody that's still running, that was voted for, still in contention?
Tim
So wouldn't
is
that
not.
negate the vote then, because say I voted for somebody that's not on there anymore, then that's one of my wasted votes.
That's why you will. That will have to be addressed. As far as we know right now, you would have to be present to change the vote. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Take it home, it was advertised. Oh, yeah, there's one that's always against the wall there. I think everybody has one right now.
But she's not gonna be there.
Or I've been closing my ballot. You don't have to attend the meeting.
Did you send in your ballot also? Then you don't. You're good. Yes. Your ballot is good.
But some people might check that box and say, if they are attending the meeting, if they didn't have them in their ballot.
Yeah. Well, we're hoping before that. Yeah.
So you're gonna need to know how many officers and who's valid to vote for before you vote to change your vote.
Right. And that's all gonna come, so like I said, the fact that we don't have a board is really detrimental right now, and this whole mix-up, they are meeting on Monday, like one of you two said, to reorganize. And then hopefully that after Monday, we will have more of those answers. It'll be clear who's still on the board. It'll be clear who's still running. Those things. We unfortunately have iffy answers to those questions.
So is it an open voting on Monday?
Hold on.
No, it's
No.
not.
Go ahead.
It's a
That's
closed,
okay. Go
it's a
ahead.
closed meeting.
Okay, I was gonna ask,
So, we pay First Residential a amount of money, right? You know the number off the top of your head, 30,000, 50,000? That's okay. I don't need to
I
know,
have
really.
it. I have it.
And the meeting was at First Residential, correct? We expect it to be there again. So why, if we're paying them X amount, they have office space that we're kind of paying for that, we have any additional occurrences of monies for another board meeting, other than their 2 hours of time?
Well, it's more than, you're absolutely right, I understand it's more than that, because under normal circumstances, there would have been a hole in which, who knows, they might even have nothing, also include another whole mailing.
I agree,
Yeah.
but we're not there now. So
We're not there.
this time we shouldn't see 2,000, we should see, $150.
It should be less if we do it the way we're talking
Thank
about.
you.
Yes,
Thank you.
hopefully, it should be.
Okay.
Now I got a question, I'm Mickey from 312. You said 2,000 before?
$2,000 to $2,500 for an
We had to
election.
pay?
We pay, yes, that is our portion. That's what it costs us and First Service to hold an
Those
election.
mailings.
Really?
Those
Gosh,
mailings.
over and above anything
Yes,
else?
that includes all the mailings, all the time.
Well, how did they get the money?
Out of your dues.
Pockets, from our pockets.
Oh, they charge us on the,
That's part of our contract and
oh, it's in the,
contracted services.
oh, that's in the fees.
Yes.
Yes.
Gotcha. All right.
I was gonna try to look for that amount real quick, but,
No, it's not.
okay. Any more on the election?
Yeah, point of clarification. If you show up for a vote, any vote, in person, it's supposed to be anybody you sent in a proxy. They're supposed to give you your proxy back. So showing up in person trumps
Right.
everything else.
Yeah, showing up in person is pretty important if you want your vote to really
And
make
the
sure
last
it's
meeting,
counted
it seemed
and
that it was overpacked over there in that room. Can they
Yep.
get us into the other room where there's more space?
That room's actually the biggest room, I think.
No, they have another room.
There were
Had
two
many-
meetings going on that night.
When
That's
you
why
walk in there, was that?
I thought that room was bigger than the other ones, but okay.
No,
we can
no,
check
that
into
was
that.
a lot bigger. When you walk in to the right, you see all those stairs?
That's where we were.
No, we were we
Oh,
went,
you got-
No, we went into the left. As you walk
I
through
don't.
the door.
Anyways, we'll make sure there's enough room. We'll advise to make sure there's
Because
enough room.
there wasn't a lot of
Because
room.
there's no sense in going back and forth.
There was a bigger room on the other side.
Okay.
I'm
We'll
telling you.
actually ask for that.
You didn't
Why do
notice.
we need to have a vote and a proxy?
You don't. So, that pink sheet of paper, basically, if you mail in a vote, that pink piece of paper validates that it's your vote. Okay, that's why there's that. So that if you'll notice on the pink sheet of paper, it said proxy / verification certificate. So it's either serves as a proxy, you filled it, hold on, let me finish. You filled this out, you're saying this is you, okay? You check that box saying, my ballot that's in this envelope is mine. Boom.
Why
If
don't
you
we have
check
that on
that
the ballot?
box, hold on, let me finish, please. If you checked that box that you're either going to attend or you enclose your ballot, you do not assign a proxy, which is why it said that. Because if you assign a proxy and you've turned in your vote and your proxy shows up to the meeting, they could legitimately vote for you and your vote that you mailed in is now null and void. And that might not be what you intended.
I'm in another HOA. We just fill out a form and put in your vote.
Well, and our bylaws say by secret ballot. So in order to do that by secret ballot and verify that you are who you are and people aren't just turning in mass ballots, it's happened. That people aren't turning in mass ballots. That's why it's done this way.
What do you mean? It's mailed to an address in Pennsylvania. How many
People,
from
well,
Pennsylvania are going to turn
we
it
all, a
in?
lot of us live here, and you can make copies and just turn them in.
There are that many crooked people?
Well, don't know, but it has happened. But I will only say it's happened before. Okay, so that's the reason.
I thought Pat Howard is gone.
Oh, now, he's a dear friend. Okay, I said being respectful.
He is gone.
I know. No more questions on the election? Okay, now into the big kahuna. Actually, first let me say, if you're not on the blog, Dennis did update us on the do not lend list. Do you want me to read that to you?
Sure. And before Stephanie reads it to you, I just posted this morning, where's Penny?
Here.
Penny put on an excellent YouTube video. It was posted 7 months ago to a finance company that handles condos and neighborhoods and communities like ours. If you have the time and you're on the blog, you look at this video, it will answer every single question you have about this issue. It's presented excellent, and everybody can understand what they're talking about. Steph will read what Dennis said.
What Dennis says regarding the subject of the Fannie Mae blacklist problem. Number 1, First Service cannot help us in any way getting this resolved. 2, to my knowledge, none of the previous or current board members have spoken. Oh, I'm going to leave that out. If anybody's reached out, has information, please share with everybody. I did call Fannie Mae yesterday, was told that they do not give out any information on why we are on a blacklist or how you can fix this. I found that amazing, but they set a new guideline on 11/1 for mortgage lenders to follow, a 1,000-page guide. It is our federal government. 4, Fannie Mae told me to go to their website and find the listing of all lenders that service our area and call ones of my choice to see if they can tell me why they think we're on the list and how to possibly correct the problem. Again, amazing we have to do that. There are 5 major reasons why, but I'm not going to list them at this time since we have no idea of which might apply to us. Some people are speculating the roofs, some the reserves, others insurance coverage. Number 5, Fannie Mae says they will issue conventional mortgages in our community, but it all depends on different circumstances with what lender the buyer is using, what type of down payment, etc. A 20% or more down payment will help in getting a conventional mortgage. 10% down is not being looked on very favorably. You will have to pay PMIs and other reasons why it's more difficult to get a low down payment mortgage. And that's all the information he has on that do not lend list.
Stephanie, can you explain what being on that list actually
Oh,
means?
so what that, being on that list, if you guys aren't familiar, our entire community is on a do not lend list. Which means that,
Along with 2,300.
yeah, others in the nation, but our community unfortunately is one, that you can't get a conventional mortgage. Siri. You cannot get a conventional mortgage to buy a home in this neighborhood.
I mean, we cannot sell.
So meaning if you have your house up for sale or you want to sell it, you better find somebody with a lot of money for a down payment or cash.
Yeah, who has all that money? They,
Do not conventional loans.
and that's why you can't sell your house.
Conventional loans do not require mortgage.
There was a girl going to sell Amanda.
Conventional loans, back in the day when I was way back, I had to have. They are accepting 20%. So a lot of people do.
And that's fine, but I was always under the impression that it was also refi. If you wanted to get a equity loan, that's what caused your problem, is you didn't want to, get around that list.
So Bob, if someone comes with 20% deposit, will be okay to sell?
That's
Maybe.
Maybe.
It's varying in different areas. That's,
So you need to come in with,
that should be good.
Hold on.
But that's a good chunk of money. You know.
so you need to come in with a minimum of 20%.
Minimum, and that could be questionable, but you have to have at least a
So
minimum.
it sounds like they're not doing VA loans here then. That's nothing down.
Yeah, I can't answer that, but
This is just conventional loans. It's
Okay.
anything Fannie Mae can loan.
I listened to that podcast this morning, right? And what it actually says is this is a new thing that was implemented by the federal government toward the end of 2022. So it's very confusing. At the moment, there are almost 500,000 of houses affected by this new regulation. And nobody really actually know how you got on the list. Why did you, they just assume that it's because we don't have a reserve, it's because the insurance is not properly wording, or there is litigation in the community, but they don't know specifically why. And also we don't know how to get out of that list yet, just because everything is so confusing, and Fannie Mae, they're not actually giving any more details. They say they're advising communities to go to the local lenders and get details. That's the problem. So at the moment, I assume we just have to wait for things to kind of cool down, get some legal advice from attorneys that know about HOA's issues, find out why are we having such a bad reputation, because it might be just some wording in the insurance. So we make sure when you renew, we change the wording. It might be the fact that we use the reserve to pay the assessment last year. So it might be something very small. As far as I know, we're not involved in big litigation, so that will not be the case. So at this moment, I assume we just have to wait to see exactly where we are. But obviously the board, they're as confused as we are, because this is something new that came in place only 2 months ago.
Lydia, you're exactly right. And the board knew nothing
That's all you
about
need.
this until the blog brought it to their attention.
Yes, until like
They
a
knew
week
nothing
ago.
about it. And this thing with the conventional loans, it's just a conventional loan. It shouldn't be a deterrent for anybody. Nobody should be really worried. What it is you're selling your place. The proper way to do it is when you sell your place, your real estate agent, unless you're doing it yourself, should bring you people that are qualified. They go to and they apply for their loan. They make sure they're qualified. We had a couple individuals living here that didn't get that, or their agent assumed they were qualified, and they shouldn't have, and that's when it fell apart. So you want to have an agent and a bank. You want to make sure you're all good to go, and that should be done before you have all these headaches, because there's enough headaches just buying and selling a home.
The gentlemen were asking if the VA loans will be affected.
Yeah, just conventional loans. It's only conventional loans.
So apparently just conventional loans.
You know what?
FHA, everything's.
It almost sounds like because interest rates and property has gone through the ceiling, they want to make sure the buyer is going to be qualified and not fooled like they did, what, 10 years ago?
Yeah, I'm sure, yeah.
Because interest has doubled in 4 years.
But
We want that
definitely,
buyer to pay the mortgage protection insurance. If they do that, they'll give you anything you want, because that's a big hit on your mortgage.
but as I said, we need, and Dennis actually tried really hard in the last few days to get as many answers as he could. So as I said, we just have to wait a little bit and get more details, and we will know.
Yes.
So this caught us all by surprise. We're not faulting anybody, we're trying to figure out how to get out of it, and we're gonna get out of it somehow.
Yes.
May I make a suggestion that going forward somehow we put somewhere, I don't know how, somewhere a checks and balances so we don't get caught by surprise when the law changes again this December or next January? I mean, it caught us by surprise, so how do we stop the surprises next year? It's gonna change again, right?
It's a national issue.
Well, but
I agree, so how do we fix it? What's the
So what
nation doing?
it's kind of a new, like we've talked
Yeah.
about, it's a fresh issue, but you're right, we do need to figure out as a community or as a board, how to prevent things.
Yeah, I don't
Because
want to
it
just
feels
fix
like,
it, I want to prevent the next one.
right, and I feel like,
Determine what caused us to be on the list. Is it the reserve? Is it the insurance? I never went to find out.
right, we've gotta find out all that
Then we'll know
information.
why, and then we'll be able to fix it.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, we've gotta wait, and Lydia was saying, we've gotta wait, sort everything out, but I agree with you, we've gotta be somebody, whether it's First Service or whoever is responsible, I don't know.
Some
Have that
days,
thing, so we're not always putting fires out, because we're always putting fires out, instead of preventing the fires from happening.
Yes.
But again, one of the assets to the block was, if this didn't happen to Amanda, who was going through this
Yeah,
major
we wouldn't have
headache,
known.
we wouldn't have known about it. So she shared that with all.
as I said, some things we cannot prevent, but we will learn how to react as fast as possible. And some things like this, you can't just react after it happens.
Can I ask you a question? Are you happy with First Residential?
No,
Hold on. We are trying
Not
to
happy with
stay
HOA
on-
either.
Oh,
but we
yeah.
are staying on
Yeah, I
a
can't believe how
a
much
list
it's
of
more than my
issues.
mortgage.
We can discuss.
I had to
those
pay off
kind
my
of
mortgage
concerns
so
at
I
the end,
can
'cause I think they're-
afford.
Yeah.
Well, that
Pay
is a
off for
concern, I
mortgage.
think those
I
issues
never
are
had
being
it.
That
addressed.
was about 2 years ago.
It's
I
great.
said nonsense.
But,
And it's becoming a mortgage.
sorry, we can't hear you.
I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
Got out of hand.
Previously, it was said that questionably, it could be because we don't have enough money from reserve, okay?
Yes.
But correct me if I'm wrong, that we took money out of the reserve to pay for the additional insurance. We all had a special assessment, okay, that we had to pay. Now, where did that money go?
That's one of the questions that
That's
we
a
had
question for
about
the
the
board.
budget.
That's a question for the board. We're not on
And
the board.
it's already on our list, so we'll make sure
That's
it's,
a big question.
yeah, I agree. Yes, Terry.
If you look at the budgets for the past couple of years and your financials, this wasn't the first time that we borrowed from the reserves.
But this is new stuff too.
But this board had a special assessment because by the end of the year, it will all be paid back to the reserves. So
Yes.
the problem is not this year, but the last 5, 10,
We're not,
7 years.
there's nothing we can change about the past.
Right.
So we've gotta
But
focus
nobody
on
else-
moving forward.
Terry, you have a good point, but let me explain. When I was with Mike on the board, we went down to GRIP to get our insurance. We decided the board was gonna tackle this. And at the time, we went down and got our insurance, and it was more than what we were currently paying the year before. And the board said, well, you know what, we're gonna have to up everybody's assessment $5. And some of us voiced our opinion and said, look, if you up it $5, it will never go back down. At the time, insurance is like this. It's a game. It's up and down. We decided, let's do a special assessment. This way everybody paid for it one time. The membership, the assessment wasn't increased, and that worked out great. We can't do that anymore. Insurance has just gone away. And I'm sure you all know why our insurance is so high. I mean, there's a reason for it. It's
Why, yeah.
This thing we're going through,
The volatile market.
I'm sure this wasn't even on our agenda, but go ahead.
Oh,
Since
I
people
think,
have, no,
I think
since
it's a
people have
major.
questions, go
I
ahead,
think
yeah.
our money, it used to be landscaping, landscaping was always a major issue. I think the insurance and this lending thing is like the two most important things. Our insurance, from everything I've researched and all the people I've talked to on insurance, communities are being hit large. Some of them have up to a third, some 50%, some over 100%. It's only communities. If you know anybody with a single family home, at least all the friends and neighbors I've talked to with a single family home, yeah, my insurance went up like $20. I have $10. Because who do they have? They have Nationwide, they have State Farm, they have Allstate, they have all these companies. Most companies, we have ones that London. These companies, those little companies, they can't take care of us. They can't insure a neighborhood. We have to go to the other players. And in the past, we had 11 people carrying the insurance in here because nobody wants to get hung with this nut if something should go south. Split up between 11. What do we got now? We got 4. And with 4 players in the game, that's when you can kind of move the price and you got to pay whatever they are. You take the best package and the best price, but you don't have all these different people to pick from now. Now it's a little different game. And hopefully insurance will come back down, but boy, like everything is going, I would sell for it just to level out. But we're on the opposite side now, because if you look at your monthly assessment, that dollar amount, I don't have the exact figure, but from my past experience, that dollar amount that we pay for insurance is about the biggest nut in that HOA payment. And if you look at, we took that money ourselves and we're just insuring a home, it would probably cost us a lot. Or anything else in our HOA, you could never get it for the same price that we have. You could never get cable for the price we got it for. You wouldn't get anything that's in that whole thing. So that's unfortunate.
Yeah, the bottom line is money.
Yes.
The actuaries are not gonna lose money. So any insurance company, they're gonna look at what they lost, from fires, from hurricanes, and they're in business. So what are they gonna do? They're gonna say, hey, we didn't make enough money this year. We need to raise that premium. And where are they doing it is from the community. So to that point, yes, but it's the fact that the bottom line is money. They want to make their money, and they're going to.
Yes. And when you have 11 companies, insurance companies bidding, all of a sudden the price starts going down. They all want to come in. They all want to get the work, and they all come down and conduct. When you have 4, you can hold the line. At least that's how I would do it when I was in business. You can hold the line.
So that's where I was last June when this came out. It's all about the money. My question would be, on First Residential side, they work with a bunch of HOAs. Each HOA has a ton of money going towards insurance. As a package, can't First Residential by itself or with other management companies go to insurance and say, I got $10 million of money here, you better lower your price or I'm taking that money and going elsewhere. Why can't we be the boss instead of the insurance company? There's a lot of money here.
Because supposing they own 100 insurance companies, or 100 communities.
But it's only 4 that's
There's only 4
collusion, that's
companies
against
that
the
will
law,
do it.
right?
And maybe with 100 communities, only 2 of them might want to do it. Nobody
really?
wants to take that hit. And if they are going to take the hit, they're going to make sure it's worth their while. Yes, Terry?
Somebody mentioned that it's the secondary insurance. An insurance company doesn't really cover that. They go to the secondary market, and that's where the real rise is. Secondary insurance. Other than Lloyd's of London, on our list of 4, those people are selling that policy to somebody else, and they make money on it too. So there's another place in there. Another thing, out of those 11, 7 are gone. Either they chose not to write, or they failed, and because they were overextended. And we
In the case of a lot of them, they're out of business.
yeah, they're out of business. And we need, despite what I hear, insurance, we need that.
We can't insure. We can't insure ourselves. We can't self-insure.
We can't afford to put any more of them out of business either. It's not only us. The Israeli war in Hamas is affecting our insurance. The fires in Hawaii affected our insurance. the tornadoes in the Midwest affect our
Everything does,
insurance.
yes.
Yes, but you take a community across the
Wait
street.
a minute, Bob,
You take,
other people want to speak, so.
but maybe this will answer your question. A community across the street, Parmalee. Everybody familiar with Parmalee?
Okay, I don't know what's going on with this
That's what the HOA
For what?
a month. It's $170 a month. Why? Because they pay their own insurance.
Right.
They don't have it in the big block. They're not all in, all right?
They pay their own insurance, like the homeowner pays the insurance,
The homeowner pays their own insurance, yes.
they're multi-family,
Excuse me?
they're multi-family.
There's a huge risk to that.
Townhouse.
So what if I'm insured by myself?
We can't do
my
that
neighbor
here.
But there are people that are doing
Isn't
that.
it-
Well, you can additionally do that.
But what I'm saying is, you go across the street over to Stonegate. Stonegate's the same way. They have an HOA that's comparable to ours, or was. Their HOA is $340 a month, but they pay their own insurance. And they're all townhouses, condos. It's not a separate single-family home.
It's a huge, and I'll say, I've said it before, I'll say it again. It's a huge risk.
Yes.
Because if your neighbor doesn't insure and their place burns down, nobody's gonna rebuild it and you're gonna have a burnt down unit next
Right.
to yours and there goes your property
Right,
value.
you're covered, but your neighbor has got a
Yeah,
hole in it.
so I don't think we should even consider that. Tony, you've been waiting for a long time. Go ahead.
You know, we could talk a lot about insurance. You're gonna have a new board. They have a responsibility to do everything possible because the board members are owners too. Your new board has to do everything humanly possible to find and do whatever they can about our insurance. And that's a given.
Right.
We can all discuss all the technical. This is a technical issue also. But everything I hear about insurance is emotional. Fire, hurricanes, but there's a technical side to insurance too. But the board has to dig in for a service, has to support them, and find out what is best for this community. It's gonna have to be done, period. So we're talking about it, it's emotional for me, all of us.
Yeah, the thing is that having just 4 insurances available, the job is easy. You ask each of them and see which one
wait a
you
minute,
go
wait a
with.
minute. You
But
can
what
have
Tony's,
Stephanie-
what Tony's saying, guys, is we can go around and around and around about this all freaking day.
Absolutely.
Unless you're the ones that are gonna go to all these insurance companies and fight for us. That, I mean, we need that. We need people who have been in insurance or whatever to be on that insurance committee to help us. We right here, we can ask our questions. What are they doing? What have they not done? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? But we're not gonna come to any conclusion here today. So my next question to you is, do you wanna continue talking about insurance or do you
Just
wanna
finish.
go on to the next?
One more thing about insurance. Stephanie is actually right. Me and her could be on the board and we're looking for the best insurance. We could do the best we can and hope the management company helps us. But what's most important is to get somebody in the business. Just like taking care of things. Somebody that's mechanically inclined knows what's going on. They're not gonna get BS from somebody. We have Ken Ashworth who's looking into our insurance now. Ken just loves doing that stuff. He's very analytical, and he's the best person to go to for that stuff. Is he gonna give us a miracle cure?
I'm in the
Is it gonna
insurance
be the?
business too. I'm
Yeah.
an agent.
Yeah, I know,
So
but Ken,
this
Okay,
move on.
let's,
I have one
let's
question,
just,
and I'd
let's,
like
so
to-
we don't get heated.
Just real quick, I understand this insurance that costs us so much is the insurance for the building if it was a complete loss. My question and comment, and I hope that you guys give your input, I have an 800 square foot home. I don't think it's fair that I pay to rebuild my home the same amount that a $2,000 square foot home.
Can I,
That does not cost, my house to be built back is less than the villas over there.
can I tell you what I've started
That
working
question is
on?
on the list.
What
I
I've,
understand
hold
that,
on,
I'm
hold
just
on,
bringing
can I
it
speak?
up.
I've already started working on that. And what I'm doing is, because if you look at the bylaws and the covenants, and I can't remember which stuff is in which, but, there is a uniform assessment paragraph in there. Talks about uniform assessments for similar units. So it doesn't have to be the same across the board, because not we have similar groups of units. However, if you look at that insurance policy, you might be a little bit surprised. I'm gonna go through every single building and find the average valuation of each unit in every single building. There are some in the loop that are valued more than the villas. So it's not just the villas. So there's a lot more to it.
Cost to build that, work in construction is not cheaper over there. Those are bigger, those 4, those 6.
Well, I'm going by the insurance valuation and what we're paying out of pocket for. So that's what I'm gonna do. And I will bring it to everybody as soon as it's done.
At the beginning of this community, it was tiered.
It was. It absolutely was. And I know that's a huge issue. That's why I've already started trying to do that, but I'm not finding enough time. So if anybody wants to help me, let me know.
It is a great point, but I would just be flabbergasted how you would do it. You know, is it 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom?
What I was gonna propose, I'll tell you, since I was working on this, in average prices, you go by that average price for those units. And if one is that much greater, then they're in a different tier. And you group it by a certain, but again, you guys, that's a lot of work. And in order to do that, guess what? You have to have a quorum of 75%.
Stephanie,
Let me get that.
Stephanie, one of the questions on the list that someone sent to me said, can we pay the insurance by square feet? And if not, why not? The insurance will not care how we split the cost as long as they're getting the money. Let's say the insurance is $391,000. We can split that for the square feet, and each of us pays accordingly to how many square feet they own. That's one of the questions that we go into.
That's a good
It is a good question, but it's not how they insure us. So I don't know that we have that option. Yeah, they insure by the buildings. The group of buildings, yes.
Yes, then split that in 6.
Well, that's what I'm doing. Yes. Yes.
Okay, there is a question.
There's a couple.
Yes.
Come on.
I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I just got to ask is that I know that our insurance is all bundled together. You know that we all pay this one price, and I'm sure that was like the smart move 20 years ago. But with the way insurance is going, is it really that bad to split it up and everybody insures their own building, insures their own space?
Like what I just said, if your neighbor's place burns down and they don't replace it, you have a burn unit sitting right next to yours, and you need to sell. You think you're gonna sell?
We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I don't know.
It's too risky. That's my opinion. My opinion.
Keep in mind, Sean, we're insuring the community. We're insuring this building.
The
we're
lights,
insuring
everything,
pool,
the roads.
ponds, the common area, our roads. It's a.
Yeah, and when you do
we don't
that,
do
you
that.
lose the community. Hold on, Terry, you had your hand up. Hold on, guys. Hold on, guys. We've asked multiple people can't hear, and they've asked the same question, so let's all listen.
Reconstruction cost isn't based on square feet. I'm sure there's some people in the construction business in this room. But it's easier to build a rancher than it is a skyscraper.
Okay.
So that's
All right.
not going to be square feet, 900 square feet in a skyscraper is going to tell us a bunch more.
Well, the way I see it here, they're rectangulars and you split them in 4. Here, they're rectangulars and you split them in 6.
Well, I'm not a construction specialist, so I won't speak on that.
I'm sure
Tony, go ahead.
we can.
Once again,
Yeah, we
what we need to do, we got a brand new board, after the elections, the county, take this issue, run with it. And there are other things on the table that we don't have to get, if we start talking about other answers to the question about equities of insurance, there's a bigger picture too, and looking at that. But I think the new board, you have to have faith, you don't have any choice. They're the ones that can move the change. These are your new board members that will be on the board. So we could talk about this again all day long. I think now we're just kicking a dead horse. It's emotional for all of us. It is for me, because I am in the business. Anyway, thank you.
I think our intention was to show people. I know insurance is kind of a cloud in here. lot of people don't understand how our insurance works. Amanda, you just said, it's my place, folks are gonna replace them. Make no mistake about it, we are completely insured. Your whole unit is insured. It used to be if something went wrong inside, that was on you, and this is not anymore. That's why we're telling you the wazoo. All encompassing now in our unit. You have HO6 insurance, you have to buy that to protect any updates that you have. Okay? Because they're gonna go with Bill Respect if they had to replace the total unit. And if you had granite instead of cement, your HO6 is covered. All your possessions, jewelry, your HO6 is covered. They're not gonna cover that. This is gonna give you a huge feeling of respect. And a lot of people don't understand it. They think and we do have individuals in there, I don't know why, they have complete home insurance. They're paying $2,500 a year for insurance. And they're already insured.
Where are we at?
Okay. I don't even want to say this word. Okay. So, hearing from a lot of people and me too, my genuine concern and why I encourage you all to get on that portal is so you can see monthly financials, things like that, so you can see the breakdown. My question is, why don't we get that breakdown with the annual budget? Because that would help. We get it in the monthly financial report. But are there, I know not all of you are on the blog. A lot of stuff has come out on the blog.
Can I read the questions?
Yeah, read the questions that have been proposed.
So these are the questions that have been already proposed. If you have any other question on top of these, feel free. So, okay. What is general and admin? Another question. Why is the interest going up? As the loan is paid, the interest should go down. Why the interest for next year shows up? Another question. What storage do we own? Where is it and why does it require maintenance? If landscaping and pool contracts did not increase, why did the maintenance go up? 8. What is the pest control? Why? How is it different from the termite bond? What is it free last year or accounted for under another heading? And now, why is it separated out? The next one. Since landscaping, irrigation, and pool maintenance is all separately accounted for, what is the $45,000 for general maintenance on top of that?
Ooh.
According to bylaws, an audit is to be performed each year, and I quote, by a public accountant at the completion of each fiscal year. When was the last audit made? The next question, when did we have the last forensic audit done, and if ever? Another question, what are the duties of the management company? And you were asking, can we see the contract? So we can see exactly what they
a lot of things.
Someone else asked, I do not recall any power washing in 2023. Why is it on the budget?
Wow.
Another question, why is the reserve funding on negative? And if it's on negative, why is it on the income list and not on the expenses? And the last question, we have 321 properties. With some exception, every household paid the 330. That brings an income of $105,000 a month, which is 1.271 a million a year. Additionally, in 2023, we each paid the extra insurance assessment of $1,320. That brought in an additional $432,000. I do not see that on the budget. These are the questions.
Those are the questions.
Good
so far.
questions. Yeah, very good questions.
Yes, they're not my questions. They're people that texted
If
me or
you
sent
have-
email on.
Yeah, God, yeah.
If you have additional detailed questions like that we want answers to, you can send them on that link that I sent out. You can send them to Lydia, so we can add those to the list.
There's going to be no name attached to the question. They're all going as a group of questions, so feel comfortable about that.
I don't get that. Can I give you my email? Because I don't get anything from you guys.
Yeah.
Yes, there is a list here.
When
you
we're
can
done,
write
come
down.
up here and, yeah.
Are these gonna be answered?
Like I said at the beginning of the meeting.
We sent an email, and I assume the board cares about their residents, and they're going to reply.
And Tony, I don't know if you were here at the beginning of the meeting, and I did address that. So basically, the reason we're doing this is because they're getting slammed, and they're getting it from all different directions. And even me this week, Lord, I'm like, forget it. I don't know. I can't keep track. Don't know. Let's all put them in one spot. So it'll be easier for the board to address that way instead of having everybody. And a lot of them are the same questions. So we'll just hope that they will answer us. Right? We all
I
would.
assume we will. I'm sure. I mean, after all, the board, their members here, they're paying the same amount of money for the same things. They care, and you know, it's not easy to be a board member, to take out of your time and be victim of gossiping and people not trusting you with money, with things, is not easy. So they're doing it. We believe they're doing it out of love for the community and their neighbors. So we trust that they care about how we all feel, and they will compile a list with the answers, maybe by numbers, just like the questions are presented, and we'll have peace of mind and good communication and good relations.
I have a question for you.
I know, right?
Are the 2 or 3 vacancies on the board going to be appointing or elected?
They will be elected.
So the board that convenes Monday, as you said, will not be appointed.
Right.
So consequently, that board is effectively powerless.
Right. That's why we have to have this election ASAP.
Well, 10 days is what the bylaws do.
Exactly. I've called that out, so hopefully they will follow that.
Okay. Why, I suggest that we try to reconvene these meetings. There's about 40 people here. 321 residents. Can we get the word around and have these either bi-monthly or monthly? This is good
Block,
helping you.
that's how we did this, was with the block. And then
Yeah,
people asked us.
well, try it again. You know?
Yeah, anytime you want.
Yeah, no, I think it's good because I've been stopped by a lot of people lately saying, I heard this, I heard this, I heard this. A lot of it's true, a lot of it's untrue. And then everybody's minds go, and then everybody gets emotional, and everybody gets angry, and everybody hates each other. And we're all neighbors. I shouldn't have to feel uncomfortable walking my dog in front of somebody's house because I know they can't stand me and they want to kill me if they could. If they could get away with it, they would do it. Nobody should feel that way in this neighborhood. And so we all have to work together. That includes the board. They're not there for anybody but the community. There are no sides to anything. It is all us as one. And
But there's no communication.
yeah, and we don't have to agree on everything.
Right.
We're all human. That's the beauty of being different. But you can work together for the common good. So that's
The way I look at it is, guys, we're married into this. And we all know the financial is the number 1 cause for divorce. So we have to address it and keep going, but we have to be able to smile at each other when we walk our dogs or when we take our trash outside, we have to be able to have good
I want to correct you. It's happy wife, happy life.
Well, that had to be decided. Who do you identify as? Who's the wife in the relationship? But anyway, we got the point.
Any other group concerns that you want potentially to be addressed?
I have the do not land.
Oh, questions for that?
Yes, the do not land is like the HOA came with this proposal.
We did cover that. Yeah, we did.
No, so you not land, rent.
Oh, the rent.
Rent. So I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
So you saw on the back of the voting bulletin, right? It was those questions that you could vote for or against, and the proposal was to cap the renting to 10% of the properties. That means if we have 321 properties here, if 32 houses are rented out, and you want to rent yours, you won't be able to. Personally, I voted against that because you never know what future brings. I bought this house with the ability to rent, and if something happens next week, someone dies in my family, I won't be able to pay my mortgage. I need to keep that option open so I can rent. We already struggle with probably not being able to sell. I don't want not to be able to rent. If that comes,
Absolutely agree with you. You never know what will happen.
Sorry?
Is there a stipulation how long they have to rent?
Yes, if you check,
There, it was
if you
in there, I
check,
can't remember.
3 months, it's 3 months, minimum 3 months. So I do agree, they planning to change that. Anyway, so I do agree with minimum term, and I do agree with background check. Because we all want, if a unit next to us is rented, to be rented to people that we can trust. But if 32 houses are already rented and I cannot rent mine, I'll be pissed off, you know what I mean? And I don't want to vote for that. I want to leave that option open. Let's say someone dies, you know, the probate in South Carolina takes around 12 months. In those 12 months, the person's children or heirs, they will not be able to rent if 32 houses are already rented in a property. So that means they will have to cover the taxes, cover the HOA each month. I don't want us to tie our hands by ourselves. That's my own point of view. If someone else, you know, everyone has to vote according to their own conscience and needs and, you know, to their best abilities. That's my point of view. Yes.
Said, except if you talk to anybody that's a resident of Waukesha East, where the corporations came in and bought more than 50% of the property and now control that HOA with their votes. And those people can't even use the pool unless they're in the company that owns all those units. And on top of that, with our do not lend list right now, we're really open for that. Because the people that don't need a loan can come in here and buy everything that's empty. And as more get empty, they can buy more, and we will lose control of our community.
Okay, I think I have a quick reply to that. I got this book, you know, about HOA, and it says, there is a good reason for many HOA to restrict the numbers of rentals allowed. The Federal Housing Administration loans for condominiums now have a 49% rental restriction levels. So you are right, we have to keep that in mind, just in case this big corporation come with cash and buy 50% of the houses here, they'll be controlling everything and we will have no say. So yes, according to this, we might restrict it to 50%. You know what I mean? So we'll stop them from a possible control. But I don't want, if 32 houses are rented, not to be able to rent mine. We never know, we cannot bet on the future.
Because now you're saying if you're the 31 and can't do it, you're going to be pissed. And then you restrict it to 49. It's 49 and I'm 50, then I'm going to be pissed.
No, it's 49%.
That's what I'm saying, but what if I turn to be the 50 one, then I'm going to be pissed.
But then the federal law.
So no, you keep it at what it is now.
Yes,
And leave it
That's right. You don't have the right to tell somebody what to do with their home. The HOA is too powerful, in my opinion. HOAs are too powerful anyway.
And lately, a lot of judges in South Carolina went hard against HOAs for being too powerful.
Yes.
Because you cannot go over human rights, you cannot go over the Constitution, which gives you the right to own a property and to decide what you will do with your property.
Yay. The rent. Oh, and by the way, for that rental agreement to be amended or added, it requires that 2/3 vote. Or 2/3 quorum, sorry.
Who brought that up? To be on the ballot? At the first the board?
The board, I guess.
I know, but who brought that to the attention of the board or why
We
would
don't
it
know.
on there?
We don't know. We
It's
just
a
saw it.
war story. Did you read about Waukesha East?
The board.
The board.
The board wants title restriction. So the board members who are 6 people
Yep.
want to control everybody else that's
Yeah.
But they cannot do it unless we vote for
I
it.
know.
No, they don't. They're giving it to you to choose.
I have a choice. I
Yeah.
agree. But why would we even on there?
I agree.
I understand what you're saying. and
I agree we should have had a debate before we put it on the list. Because I'm sure all of us agree with minimum term, like 3 or 6 months, and with background check or credit check. We all agree with that. But not with the
I could probably answer that question.
Hold on. Ed thinks he can answer, might be able to answer it.
Because
say your next door neighbor wants to rent I don't know, apartment A, B, and B, or VRBO, and every week you got someone different in there parting the brakes. And that was kind of one of the things that apparently instigated this.
But that is short term, and we already have the length of rental in there.
But when someone doesn't obey the rules, the ones that we have, okay, it takes too much time to be able to get this corrected.
And deal with that individually and don't punish the entire
But the
group
board and
with what
First
they do
Service
with
need
their
to do
house.
their job and be on it.
Yes, and to address that question, that I do know, I know the details about that. The case you're talking about is right down here, Jared's case. Jared's dad, James Gray, was on this for years, and he moved to down to second place in North Carolina, now his son took it. His son wants to rent out the unit. He's not familiar with this. He calls up First Services, he wants to see the document. First Services tells him he has to pay to get the covenant. So Jared paid $320.
Why?
Wait a minute, this gets great. He paid $320, and Sean was the one who talked about it. In the document. And then in the paperwork they gave him, it said he could rent for no less than 7 days. So he says, so I can rent for 7 or more. Yep, but no less than 7. And he said, okay. So he did the right thing. He put it on RBDO, whatever it was, and he put it on for a week, just like, and the board got upset. Hey, you can't do that. He said, wait a minute. I went to, they gave me the documents, it says right here. Oh, we changed that. Well then, why didn't you tell me, or why don't you give me the paperwork? Well, somebody should have done that. That's not our fault. Well, let me do it the right way. And so what they did was they automatically started signing it.
Well, I think there are a lot of times where inconsistencies, okay, maybe that's something that we can do.
Well, and actually, it's come to light for me lately. There have been amendments to our bylaws, and guess what? They're not on the portal. Nobody knows where they're at. So somebody needs to get off their tail and go to the clerk of court and get every amendment that we've ever had in this entire neighborhood and put those on the portal so they're available to all. Well, I'm gonna go to the clerk of court.
Let me ask one other question. Everybody who resides here has a right under the bylaw and the covenant to see the financials, including whatever money is transacted. First Service, phenomenal ability to slow walk those requests. Or ignore. Okay? And there's no power for the person requesting that, other than to go through a process that's insulting. It's beyond insulting.
Can I say there is concern about First Service, but the First Service also works at the direction of the board. So
Yes,
if
absolutely.
the board doesn't want them to release that, that's another. And I'm not saying that's the case.
I understand what you're saying.
But the board, it's not necessarily First Services to blame for everything. Sometimes
Yeah, but in that
it
case
comes
they are,
back
because
on their team.
under our covenant,
Unless it's been changed.
you can request
Yeah, you can.
any financials whatsoever, from the mundane to the magnificent,
Yep.
and they have to comply.
They do. Which
And
is done for 3
by
months.
slow walking it, they make a joke out of your request.
Yes, I just want to make a comment relating to that. When we had the parking issue, right, I went to the First Management asking for clarification. The First Management is actually complaining that the board will not let them do their job. So it's a lot of animosity between them. So what we really want to see is to see the agreement, the contract between the First Residential and the board, and to apologize if we really
Well, you know,
step on their
you're
toes.
right at the heart of the matter. We are the consumer, okay? We're in charge of them, they're not in charge of us, okay?
Yes, but they cannot go beyond the contract, and we haven't seen the contract. What is the First Residential supposed to do?
What contract are you referring to?
Between the board.
Their service contract?
Yes, the service contract.
And their scope of services.
But it's still, the power belongs to us, not to them. We're the deciders.
They're making
the decision on their board.
But if the board, so any request that First Service gets you guys goes to the board. So, I'm not saying it's the board, I'm not saying it's First Service, I don't know, but I know there are issues with teamwork there, And the board can direct First Service to do things because we employ them and they have to abide by that. It may not be the right thing to do, but if the board's instructing them to do something, that's what they do.
You can also give information to First Service, it never gets to the board.
Okay, and that's an issue too, if it never gets to the board. But I think some of those issues they are starting to address some of those issues with First Service, I believe. So, again, I'm just keeping my fingers crossed for
As we
everything.
stand here now, we're gonna have an election in 10 days from the last election.
Not from the last election, no.
That'd be 27. Okay.
Any other questions?
Stephanie, do you think those missing changes to the bylaws are in the year and a half, 2 years records that we never got one record from CAMS?
Well, they're from 2016.
Before that.
So there you
There's a
go.
lot of stuff that's lost to this community.
And 2022 also. But that is also the responsibility of the board. I'm sorry, I can't hear.
They have to be accountable.
Yes.
Or in a position, you have to be accountable.
Absolutely.
Why are we not holding this accountable?
You're exactly right. We need to.
And also the
Us as a community have to hold these people accountable.
With the changes that we cannot find.
Yeah, well, we can say they have to answer, and they should, because they are elected by us to serve for us. I didn't hear what you just said.
Are they out of town? That they cannot be addressed? Do we need to ask for a special audience to meet these people?
For the board?
Certainly.
They can be, they had an open invite to attend today.
They have to be accountable.
Right.
To the community.
Absolutely.
Well,
And the way you can hold them accountable is if you review your bylaws, your covenants, and all that. We can vote them out of office. You can also use your voice at election time and vote for who does hold themselves accountable.
But if the bylaws are not clear and they're not up to date, what kind of leg is anybody standing?
So
the ones that we have.
Most of the bylaws are up to date. Most of them. There are a few amendments that are missing, such as the patio furniture debacle, allowing
It's the rules and regulations that may not be up to date. The bylaws are
The
all
bylaws are there.
up to date. Rules and regulations we make ourselves here in the community. That's something that the board makes. They take input from people and they make the best rule and regulation. That's a separate thing, and that can be changed. We don't need a vote, right? The board, as far as animals pooping and rules anything like that, we can make our own rules on things like that. It's not
But what I want to add here is that you cannot blame the board for something that happened before that. And the thing is, you just inherit. You know, like with the presidential, you inherit from the previous administration.
But she's talking about them being held accountable for what they've done or not done.
Yeah, so you can be accountable for what you've done from when
Right.
you took place until you get released.
But if
that's why my advice is when the new board takes over to have an audit, so we will know exactly what we got at the beginning. Yes, after right after the election, and then to see what you have and where you're going.
But I understand what you're saying about there needs to be. You need to hold them accountable, and we as a community don't. A lot of people until recently just throw up their hands and go, oh well, they're gonna do whatever they want to anyways, and that's how they're getting away with it, because we're not holding them to that standard.
So how do we do that?
This meeting?
These types of things.
But how do we get it to there where actually we can stop them doing to do?
We do our best to
They
do
sign
that.
something that they have to call their accountable.
Unfortunately, we cannot control human behavior.
No,
we can
not
only
human behavior, I'm not
advise.
talking about that.
But
How do you have them respond?
How can you have them sign something that they're
they
accountable?
do sign, what is
They
it,
gotta
code
be
of ethics and a code of conduct? Where'd Mike go? Yeah. So they do sign a code of ethics and a code of conduct, and whether they take that seriously or not. That's why when you vote, you need to be careful in the way you vote, ultimately.
Yeah, but the people I saw all the resumes, I read all the resumes. Very nice stuff, but I really don't know the person. You know what I'm saying? I don't really know the